Good day and welcome to my YouTube channel. This is Teacher Ryan and this is my fourth video on mental math. And in this video, I'm going to share with you some techniques and tricks on how to square 2 and 3-digit numbers on your head. So without further ado, let's get started. To start with, let me lay down to you the steps. And to illustrate these steps, I have here an example. Let us find the square of 14 or 14 times 14. Step 1 is to find a base or a multiple of 10 that our given number is close to. So here 14 is close to 10, so we choose 10 as our base. Next is to find the distance of 14 from the base, from the identified base. 14 is 4 away from 10. Next is to go up and down. Since we go down by 4, as we go to 10, we should also go up by 4 to go to 18. So that's 14 plus 4 is 18. So we now have a pair of new factors which are 10 and 18. And next we will multiply 10 and 18. 10 times 18 is simply 180. Next step is to square the distance. The distance that we identified earlier was 4, and squaring 4 gives us 16. Finally, let us add 16 and 180. 180 plus 16 is 196. Hence the square of 14 is 196. Now let's have our second example. Let's find the square of 27. 27 is closer to 30 than 20, so we choose 30 as our base. Then we find the distance of 30 or 27 from 30, and that's 3. Simply by subtracting 27 from 30, 30 minus 27 is 3. Now knowing 3 as our distance, we go up 27 to 30 by 3, and we should also go down to 24 by 3. So we now have a new pair of factors, 24 and 30. Multiplying 24 and 30, 3 times 24 is 72, and adding 0, that's 720. Next is to square the distance, which is 3. 3 squared is 9. Adding 9 and 720 gives us 729. So the square of 27 is 729. For our third example, we have here 62 squared, or that's 62 times 62. So first we need to find a base. The closest multiple of 10 is obviously 60. So from 62 we go down to 60 by 2, hence we should also go up by 2, and that brings us to 64. So we now have two factors, 60 and 64. Multiplying 60 and 64, that's 6 times 64. 6 times 60 is 3,600, and 6 times 4, that's 240. That gives us 3,840. Next is to square the distance, which is 2. 2 squared is 4, and adding 4 to 3,840 will give us a sum of 3,844. For our fourth example, we have here 94 squared. Now 94 is close to 90, but since we have an easy number of 100, we will pick 100 as our base. Now the distance of 94 to 100 is 6. That's going up. So if we go up to 100, we should also go down. So we go up by 6, we should also go down by 6. That can be found by simply subtracting 6 from 94. 94 minus 6 is 88. Now we have a new pair of factors, 88 and 100, which is quite an easy pair to multiply. 88 times 100 is simply 8,800, which is just adding or attaching two zeros to 88. So having 8,800, next step is to square the distance. The distance is 6, and 6 squared is 36. Adding 36 to 8,800 should give us 8,836. Now, this is quite easy because of the base that we use. which is 100. And we know for a fact that multiplying any number by 100 is simply adding two zeros to that number. Now we move to some shortcuts in squaring two-digit numbers. Now our first case here is when we have a two-digit number that ends in 5. So what are those two-digit numbers that ends in two-digit numbers that end in 5? So you have 15, 25, 35, and so on. So what are the steps? Say we have to find out the square of 45. First, we need to take the digit or digits before 5. So in this case, we only have one digit, that's 4. And with that, we need to add 1 to 4 to get 5. So 4 plus 1 is simply 5. And we multiply 4 and the new number, which is 5. 4 times 5 will give us 20. And next to that, the easiest part is to attach 25. So attaching 25 to 20, that should give us 20 and 25, that's 2025. Hence, 45 squared is 2025. This was actually featured in the first video that I uploaded on Mental Math. Now for our second squaring shortcuts. Now this can be used whenever we have a two-digit number that begins with 5. So what are those two-digit numbers that begin with 5? Of course, we have 50, 51, 52, and until 59. Now this technique can also be useful even if we have three-digit numbers that begin with 5. For this part, we will be using it only for two-digit numbers that begin with 5. Say we have, or we will square 54. So to find the square of 54, first we need to take a constant. If that constant is 25, that's actually the square of 5. And we will add the ones digit of our given. In this case, ones digit of 54 is 4. And we will add 4 to 25. 25 plus 4 is equal to 29. And set this apart, 29. Next, we will square the ones digit, which is still 4. Squaring 4 gives us 16. Again, in this last step is to attach 29 and 16, or simply annex 16 to 29 to get 2916 or 2916. And that's how easy this trick is, or this shortcut is. Okay, let us take additional examples. Here we have, we need to find the square of 52. So the ones digit of 52 is 2. Adding 25 and 2 will give us 27. Or that can also be translated as 2700 by attaching two zeros to 27. Next step is to square 2. 2 squared is 4. But that should be 04 because we need a 2-digit here. So if we attach 04 to 27, that will give us our final answer, which is 2704. Next here, we need to find the square of 59. The ones digit of 59 is 9. Adding 25 and 9 will give us 34. Next is to square 9. 9 squared is 81. And simply attach these two, 34 and 81, to give us the square of 59, which is 3481. So this is how easy this trick is. Now let's move to another squaring shortcut. This shortcut is applicable whenever we have a number to be squared that is less than or greater than 50. It means the number is close to 50. And let's take 47 as our example. So what is the square of 47? First we need to check or find the distance of 47 from 50. 50 minus 47 is 3. So the distance is 3. Next we subtract 3 from the constant. Again, we will use 25 as our constant. Since 50, or 5 squared is 25. So 25 minus 3 is equal to 22, which can also be translated as 2,200 by attaching two zeros. Next step is to square the distance. The distance that we identified is 3. Squaring 3 is, or 3 squared is 9. Adding 9 to 2,200, we will have a sum of 2,209. Now, we can also attach 9 to 22, and we will still get the same answer, which is 2209, or 2,209. In this case, 9 is a one-digit number, so we need to attach a 0 before we attach 9 to 22. For our second case, now this happens when we have a given that is greater than 50. In this case, let us find out the square of 62. Step 1, we need to check the distance of 62 from 50. So that can be found by subtracting 50 from 62. So 62 minus 50 is 12. Next, we add, because this is greater than 50, so we need to add the constant 25 to our distance 12. So 25 plus 12 is equal to 37, which can also be translated as 3,700 by attaching two zeros. Next, we need to square the distance. Now the distance is 12. Squaring 12 is 144, and we will add 144 to 3,700 to give us 3,844. Moving on to squaring three-digit numbers, the procedures or the steps that we used in squaring two-digit numbers can also be applied in squaring three-digit numbers. So we have here 130 squared. First, we need to find the base, or the multiple of 100 that 130 is close to, and apparently it's 100. 130 is very close to 100. Next, we need to check the distance. The distance of 130 to 100 is 30, and so we use the distance to go up and down. We go down to 100 by 30. We should also go up by 30, which brings us to 160, because 130 plus 30 is 160. Now the new pair of factors is 160 and 100. Multiplying 100 and 160 will give us a product of 16,000. Next is to square the distance. The distance is 30. 30 squared is 900. Adding 900 to 16,000, this is quite easy because these are just these numbers end in 0. So 16,000 plus 900 is equal to 16,900. Now let's try another example. This example is very similar to the shortcut that we had earlier, but this time this is close to 500. Now earlier we had squaring numbers that are close to 50. So for example, we need to find the square of 487. 487 is close to 500. So we have these steps, which are also steps in a shortcut. Now first we need to check the distance of 487 from 500, and that can be found by subtracting. So 500 minus 487 is 13. Now next step is to subtract 13 from a constant. This time our constant is 250. Now earlier our constant was 25. Now we're just adding a 0. So 250 minus 13 will give us 237. Next is to square our distance. The distance again is 13. Squaring 13 will give us 169. And we just need to attach this 169 to 237. So attaching 169 to 237 will give us our final answer, which is 237,169. Thank you for watching this video, and before I end, I'd like to give a shout out to one of my subscribers. Mr. Eugimar Garcia. I hope you're doing well, and I hope that you learned something from this video. And if you do, please take time to subscribe and share this with your friends. God bless you and see you next time.